The main one I want to get to is Snow White Gate. I don't know if you've been following this one, but basically, like Disney just did a remake of Snow White, starring Gal Gadot and Rachel Ziegler, and it is a megaton bomb.
Yeah.
It is a absolute bomb, and basically, like the entire industry, through the industry trade press and the producers of this film, they have decided to pin the failure of this movie on Rachel Ziegler for speaking out about Palestine and doing a tweet that said, free Palestine. They sent the producer of this movie on a cross-country flight to get her to delete this tweet. And to her credit, she kept it up. And I want to speak personally. The one thing I want to read here is a statement that was on Instagram from the son of the producer of this movie, a guy named Mark Platt.
And who is the brother of Ben Platt, who is also, Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh, isn't it
his brother
Platt?
or a son?
Okay, Mark Platt is the father. That's right. Jonah Platt was the one whose statement.
Jonah Platt is the brother of Dear Evan Hansen.
Correct.
Yes. So I mean, like, and the fact that his brother was in Dear Evan Hansen is very important to like understanding this post here. So he's responding to someone on Instagram who says to him, "Your dad flew to NYC to reprimand a young actress. Any words on this? Because that's creepy as hell and uncalled for. People have the right to free speech. No, shame on your father." Jonah Platt responds, "You really want to do this? Yeah, my dad, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney IP." I love that phrase, an enormous piece of Disney IP, because it almost sounds exactly like an enormous piece of shit.
Yeah.
By the way, the Snow White remake, by the way.
Disney BM.
I just want to mention about the Snow White remake. This is a movie that somehow cost $270 million was the budget of this movie. And apparently, according to the industry press, it went through 5 different rewrites. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the movie bombed not because of the lead actress's political statements. It's probably your movie's a piece of shit that everyone hates.
It was fraught from the beginning. It's like
because they were originally going to cast dwarves in the characers of the the Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, and then they were like, Peter Dinklage said this is very offensive, and then they were like, we hear you, we are learning, we are listening, we're changing this, and then like every other dwarf actor in Hollywood was like, what the fuck, man? We're going to eat off this movie for the next 30 years. What the fuck?
Also, I'm sorry, but Peter Dinklage, like I understand where he's coming from. Like, I get it, but also it's like every single little person who was an actor in Hollywood was like, fucking easy for you to say, dog. You're the only little person who is famous. Like, truly fucking stupid. And not only that, but also like Rachel Ziegler was being hounded by like white nationalists and MAGA folk for being like a person of color. Like, I don't know what she is, like Colombian or some shit, but everyone was like, so there were Nazis going after it. Then, of course, there was fucking Gal Gadot's in it, and Israel's doing
with star power like that, it's hard to believe the movie bombed.
Yeah, so it's like 1,000 different controversies that happened, and now they're settling on like, damn, it's this goddamn Rachel Ziegler tweet.
I'm imagining Peter Dinklage at his mirror every day. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the most employable little person of them all?
Yeah.
So Jonah Platt goes on here. He says, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney shit with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line had to leave his family to fly across the country and reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie for which he signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. Okay, the line where he says, my father had to leave his family to fly across the country. Your kids are in their 30s. Your brother was playing a high school student in his 30s. You're saying,
Dada?
he had to leave,
Dada, where
leave
you
his
going,
children
Dada?
for 20 hours.
I love like travel across the country because it made like this.
Not is the Oregon Trail?
Yeah, not unlike the Jews of the Pale of Settlement.
The 70-year-old fucking movie producer. It's the start of Red Dead Redemption 2. He's trudging through knee-high snow. Like half the members in his original party are dead because he couldn't catch enough squirrels.
Yeah.
He has to deliver a rousing speech at the campsite so they can make it to Chelsea to yell at this actress.
He's acting like his dad's fucking Tevye at the end of Fiddler on the Roof, being kicked out of Anatevka, just like slowly making their way over. Making their way over to Rachel Ziegler's place to yell at her about her posts.
It says,
It's so crazy.
he says, okay, for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability. Her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of all the colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful. Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged. Okay, the second aspect of this that is absolutely ludicrous, starting with the idea that it's some sort of like horrible thing for your adult children to be left in Los Angeles unsupervised for like a day and a half, is the idea that the blue collar workers on Snow White, like the craft services, the IATSE people, you think they're getting a percentage
people,
of the fucking box office? You think they're like, no, like they've already gotten paid for their work on this movie. They're not seeing a single dime from it, whether it makes $1 billion at the box office or it bombs like this piece of shit did.
Yeah.
If they get points on this movie that he's literally like this guy who like walked across the country like Lewis and Clark to scream at Rachel Ziegler about Israel. He's literally the only producer in Hollywood who does this, but he's also making them sign an NDA so they can't tell anyone about it. Yeah. Because I have not, if someone was doing this, some grip would have said something, but apparently they can't do it. But also their compensation is tied to a clause where no one tied to the movie could say anything bad about Israel.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and this is the last thing I want to talk about. This is when he says like freedom of speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in the place of your employment. Blah blah blah. It's just like, yeah, fair enough, but like, come on, like the world outside of your job exists, and like this is a ongoing moment in history that you may feel compelled to share your opinion on. Whether that damaged the box office of the movie, I don't fucking know. But like, how about Gal Gadot's obnoxious politics? Because she's weighed in on this issue a lot publicly.
100%.
Like, she appeared at the that fucking the movie's ADL Never Is Now conference, like, 2 weeks ago, right during the immediate run-up to the release of this film, and she makes this big 10-minute speech about how you have to stand by your Jews right now, because everyone's, feeling scared, completely whitewashing Israel's crimes.
Right. Meanwhile, Jonah Platt, this fucking, fail son, is doing the same shit, except for he's pro-Israel. It's just like, the double standard is just like so glaring and obvious that it makes you fucking go insane. Because you're like, this seems so clear, so clearly have a double standard here, but it's just, it's clear that he's just pissed off. He's like, my father spent millions of dollars making sure that all the little people were turned into CGI creatures. You have no respect for the emotional labor it took to gather all those little people together and tell them they were being replaced by Andy Serkis in a ball suit. You don't understand what it's like to produce a movie.
I have no idea what this Jonah looks like, but I can only picture Jonah from Veep when I hear that.
I'm looking at his IMDb page right now, and this is his bio. Jonah Platt is a multi-platform creator and performer whose unique career spans many facets of the entertainment industry. As an actor, Jonah has appeared in prestigious projects from stage to the screen, such as Broadway's smash hit Wicked, Hair at the Hollywood Bowl, Aaron Sorkin's Being the Ricardos. By the way, his father produced Wicked. Darren Star's newest comedy series, Uncoupled, Universal Pictures' The List, and most recently as the critically lauded star of The Engagement Party at the Geffen Playhouse, directed by Tony winner Darko Trezjak. In 2024, he'll be seen in You're Dating a Narcissist, starring Marissa Tomei, Spread, starring Harvey Keitel, and heard as a voice actor on DreamWorks' Monster Wheelies, Fox's Hoagie Birds, and classic kids series Rugrats.
I want to watch Monster Wheelies.
These are like sub iPad. This is
these are quippy shows.
This is what you like give to a kid on an iPad when they're like born inside of a prison.
Oh my God.
Like if both of your parents are at ADX Florence, they don't let you out until you're 18. You have heard the voice work of Judah Platt or whatever the fuck this guy's name is.
Oh my God. Yeah.
When you read his bio, it started with Jonah Platt as a multi-platform. I was like, that sounds like the kind of pun he would make. He would create a podcast called
The Platform.
Welcome to the Platform. I think
it means most of his work is in community theater. He's been
yes.
He's been on the stage and a few screens. That you might, maybe you may have seen him as uncredited extra number 3 in the movie his dad produced.
To be fair, a stage is a platform.
It's such a good like padding term because it's like, is there any actor who's like only ever done TV?
Yeah, I'm
like
only
most of them
movies.
start in theater. Like I'm actually an actor who did theater. No way. You mean the first thing you do when you learn acting?
Yeah.
My sister showed me someone's author bio that mentioned that they were a member of like a co-owner of their local co-op grocery store. Which is like same category of thing.
It's like
you only put stuff like that in your bio when there's nothing else. Like high school graduate is a better accomplishment to put there.
Yeah, that's someone who's like, damn, I still haven't filled this bio. There's still, there's a 200 character limit, and I'm still not done. Let's see, most attractive in high school, and I have a BA. I have a bachelor's in arts.
Multi-platform is like, you might as well put like, I've been known to have lunch and dinner.
Yeah, so that's the Snow White debacle, and like it's just so galling to me that like someone who's responsible for the Dear Evan Hansen musical starring their own son that was universally panned as an abomination would be like the political opinions of our star actress is what tanked this awful movie. And I also like all of the grown men who are mad about the woke Snow White. And it's just like, buddy, I wasn't planning on seeing this movie to begin with because it's for babies and girls.
Right. Yeah.
I'm a
who are you
man.
yelling at here?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
I've seen so much of that, like guys who are like have that Punisher Abbey.
And they're like, there's not even a prince in the princess movie.
Yeah. What happened to all the Disney magic?
Yeah. The weirdest ones are the ones. The weirdest ones are the people who are just like, they keep comparing Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot's hotness, where they're just like, look at this fine IDF queen. She should have been Snow White. It is very strange watching the sexualization of Israelis done by like people who are what are essentially white nationalists and not at all being like, wait, what does this say about Israel? As a white nationalist, I really like them. Well, probably nothing.
Well, they do.
I won't even.
I mean, like, I don't think that like that's such a strange juxtaposition anymore.
It's not. It's not at all. Yeah.
Herzl said it. The anti-Semites will be our friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They get to live out. Israel gets to do daily what white supremacists like the Turner Diaries fantasizes about.
I saw one of those guys post Rachel Ziegler's like forearm hair and was like, "This is fucking disgusting."
Yeah. It's like,
have you seen
a woman?
Yeah,
like a guy who's like never not had diabetes posting that.
It's very, very weird because it's just like, you're a pedophile. That's all that means.
Yeah,
you don't like body hair on women at all. That is strange. Yeah, we live in a time now where all the anti-Semites are Zionists, and like there's an account called @JewsFightBack, and they posted a poster. It was a picture of a billboard that said Ashkenazi Jews are Middle Eastern, and I was like,
God, we talked about this last week, but that's always confused me how like it's anti-Semitic to say Jews aren't white. Right. It's anti-Semitic to say Jews are like,
yeah.
Well, then, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Then we're not like, okay, we're not white.
Stop being in Eurovision if you don't want to be associated with this shit.
Yeah, we come approximately from the middle of Eastern Europe. That's about how.
Exactly.
I will tell you exactly what I say when I argue on the phone with United Health. I'm a proud white man.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I say.